Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, Cody gets a new web interface, and guess what? It's a bit of all right. And we're going to cook with gnomes. Or gnome, or something. Ooh.
KDE talks productivity, and by that I mean redundancy, and Canonical's gonna sue somebody. But they at least seem to have some good intentions behind it.
I didn't notice you did already talked about the GNOME thing. So anyway, also you have some new software for limiting your network traffic, but strangely enough, it uses Pygame and Kiwi. Strange.
Have an x86 Android tablet and want to run Windows apps? Well, I recommend therapy because at least two things have gone wrong. And get Pi on your Plex or Plex on your Pi. Piplex. Plex.
Piplex, man, is best Plex. Lads, let's just jump right into this nightmare fuel. Whoa, that is nightmare fuel, isn't it?
Ah! Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I guess we're kicking it off. So you may have heard about the whole Wine supporting Android. Well, Wine's Big Brother project crossover, where you can pay for Wine support, is now supporting Android as well. So if you want to sign up for that, and you got yourself an x86 Android tablet or x86 or Chromebook or what have you, you can attempt to run Windows applications, not as seamlessly as they might indicate you could, because you got your standard Wine nonsense that you typically deal with. It'll work sort of, kind of, until you try to save and then the thing crashes horribly. But like I said before, Wine is actually getting this functionality as well in an upcoming release. So if you don't feel like forking out money for a crossover, you just gotta wait a little bit. If you really want to hurt yourself, there are sharp objects you can find in your house that are probably a little more cheaper than this.
Yep. And one of the claims that they make is... how did I say it? Games from your Steam library will run with crossover Android at native speeds. Bold claims there, Cotton. Bold claims.
I was too busy laughing when I saw that, but I do believe it's also important to support code weavers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Money that goes to them goes to Wine.
Exactly, and that kind of feeds that development. What do you think about it, Strider?
Yeah, there are a couple games they are demoing and the web page. They have Limbo, which is also Linux native, but they have the Wine version running, and it seems to be running pretty well. And another game, more a kids game, which is Wizard 101. So there seem to be really pretty basic games, but they also seem to have Left 4 Dead installed in their Steam thing.
Installed, yes.
Yeah, it's installed. They didn't show it.
Hear me out, Strider. We have a new Patreon goal. Now we have to play Left 4 Dead on Wine on our tablets.
It's the first one.
Do zombies dream of electric sheep?
So yeah, I'm guessing that they didn't show it because it wasn't running that great on the. I mean, the problem with Android hardware is you don't usually get very good GPUs with it, so I'm not sure it would run Left 4 Dead properly.
Well, so some of the x86 Chromebooks at least have Intel IGPs, so it can run Left 4 Dead. I don't know how. Well, I mean, if you use the OpenGL backend, you're not dealing with the DirectX translations, so there's definitely some possibility for decent performance there, or not decent, but acceptable.
Yeah, close to native speed, but not exactly native, as they claim.
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, it'll probably still be more performant than the Pi Boy or whatever that thing's called.
Yeah.
Or the Pocket Chip. Or the Nova Tio console with their magical Wine chip.
That one that will never exist.
Yeah, the Dream console. I had an issue looking at the demos, the videos on there. Well, since it's Android, you can't really get rid of the taskbar and all the menus of Android, and that's kind of a deal breaker when playing games. And you want
you could if the people who developed the ROM, like NVIDIA did with the Shield tablet, you actually have immersive mode, which you can toggle at will, and games will either be full screen and you'll have to swipe up in order for the taskbar to show up, or they will just always have the taskbar at the bottom. So if the people who developed that particular Android ROM don't include that functionality, it's not going to be there.
See, I think immersive mode evokes something that locks your game at 30 frames a second.
No, that's cinematic mode.
Yeah, that's too fast, man.
It immerses you in the experience. But speaking of immersions and experiences...
Indeed. So KDE, or Kai-U from KDE, is talking productivity plus. And yeah, a while back, KDE released the 5.8 LTS version, which admittedly is the one I am currently running. Sorry about that, Martin. And apparently coming with version 5.9, they have a couple of things. They're improving the notifications, and they're adding, among other things, drag and drop functionality. There was already the bit where if you'd get a text on your phone and you were using KDE Connect, you could just reply directly from the notification, and it would send the text through your phone. That's pretty cool, and that's actually already working if you have the 5.8 LTS. They're just improving on that by, say, if someone sends you a message or you take a screenshot, you can just drag that screenshot into a chat window, and KDE will take care of everything for you. So that's nice. Now, the other bit, which is Task Manager keyboard shortcuts, which is what you already get if you're running Ubuntu, the base Ubuntu with Unity. You can just, everything that you have pinned on the taskbar, you can just launch it with a keyboard command. Now, this is kind of redundant, to say the least, because in an operating system where you can already set keyboard shortcuts to launch any and all applications, why?
I don't know. Maybe Strider can clarify, but I'm getting a little terrified because this is going to turn into like that stupid Windows 10 tablet I have that just explodes every time I log into it with just garbage.
No,
it's not
okay, so I was reading this article and I learned something to do on GNOME while reading this thing about KDE. So it appears that you can also do on GNOME the Shift plus print screen or Super plus print screen, and it will make a screenshot of a selection of or a window. So that's neat. I learned something while reading this.
I mean, that's been around since GNOME 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know about it. I mean, it's not really advertised.
If I haven't seen it, it's new to me.
I didn't say it was new. I said I'd learned it.
No, it's new to you. Exactly. You
Yeah.
know that.
You're arguing semantics with Jordan. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I do agree with your other point, though. I'll let you talk about that. Shut up now.
Yeah, the drag and drop thing, I like it. It's really neat. The other one with the super plus numbers, I mean, I was using Unity before that, and I've never used that. And also in Vim, I don't use the motions when you have to count the line numbers. But what I'm saying basically here is I can't count. This is the main reason why I don't use.
Offer a Lutris, ladies and gentlemen. Can't.
I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, I mean, if you want KDE and productivity, just install XFCE 4. And you can use that to take a look at Cody with a new web interface called Chorus 2. Now, you're like, Cody, that sounds weird. And I was like, oh, right, Xbox Media Center, right? They changed the name for whatever. But
Microsoft sued him, that's why.
Well, that'll do it, won't it? But no, the new interface, it's rolled out. It's nice. It's clean. It's clear. It's got some stuff for audio playlist and, meh. Strider, you played with Cody. Admittedly, I looked at this and I was like, I don't know, man, because I put Plex on all the things.
Yeah, I've tried Plex a little bit, but I was trying out Cody just yesterday because I received a new SD card to put like some Raspberry Pi stuff on it. So I had LibreElec. And LibreElec ships with 16.1, which doesn't have the Chorus 2 web interface. So it has the first one, the Chorus 1, and it's very similar. But I mean, it's very good stuff. I mean, it really beats having to install a dedicated remote control on your Android device or something. Yeah, I like it so far, and I want to try the Chorus 2 web interface. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's really handy if you're sort of sitting on the couch and maybe you left the TV box keyboard on the other side of the room because you're wandering around because you're on drugs or something. I don't know. I don't endorse that kind of behavior. But yeah, just open up your phone or your tablet, browse to the Cody server, and you can start remote controlling. I'm guilty of like actually SSHing into boxes, setting display variables, and launching stuff via that. Mm-hmm. That's the level of I don't want to get up. I go through.
Don't you love like that? How creative you get when you're like laying there with just a tablet and you're like, okay, what can we do here?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like, okay, what can I do to minimize the total amount of movement I need to engage in to accomplish this task? I suppose I need to start opening remote shells. And that's where it all goes down.
I am guilty of doing just that too. Just export the display variable and then you launch something and it usually works. But yeah, no, this is, I don't know. I haven't used XBMC or Cody in a long time. I'm kind of with Ven on Camplex. But if you're not in Camplex and you'd like say, oh, but Cody is open source or free software, whatever the case, well, then you can go and give Richard Stallman all your hard-earned money. You can join the Free Software Foundation by as low as $5 a month. Or if you really want to, show him your love, you can give him up to $500 a year.
For like $5 a month, do I get my commemorative toe jam?
No.
See, I think if I can take a minute to shill our own stuff, we're only asking for 5 cents a show, so it's a better deal.
Yeah, that should give you a little bit of a. But yeah, you can if you want to help the Free Software Foundation, whether or not you agree with everything they say. Fact of the matter is, they are trying their damnedest to at least make software a little bit more or a little bit less proprietary and give people some control over what they're running on their boxes. And that's awesome.
Plus, GPL enforcement does need some muscle because there are a lot of companies out there, VMware, that will just straight up steal GNU code and be like, yeah, no, this is ours. No, you can't do that. You can't just take what you want from open source and then not contribute anything back. So having some sort of mechanism to enforce that is super valuable, especially for the open source ecosystem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Plus, if you donate to the FSF, you won't get those stickers you can put on your webcam. I mean,
Strader, you really should get one of those, because every time I log into your system, I've seen some horrifying things.
see, the trick is, if people are going to take naked pictures of you, you got to make sure they're all super sexy.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just ask, and I'll prepare myself. And don't.
Yeah, you got to always be ready. The image.
Admittedly, I am one of those people that this webcam that you are currently seeing me through is not plugged in unless we're doing the show, and the laptop has a little sticker that came with a RAM stick, a HyperX or a HyperX sticker as it is. Now, Strider did mention in the show notes of what's the point of running Linux if you don't trust your system? Well, I kind of trust the system. I just don't trust the proprietary software that comes bundled in that thing.
Yeah.
Also, if you have the added ability of having viewing naked pictures of yourself, turning other people into stone, that tends to help as well.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely put a piece of paper because I just want to tease them. I want them to know that I'm there. But they just can't see me.
Yeah, it's a crudely drawn naked picture of Ben on a business card in front of the webcam.
Let's talk about our favorite project, Soulless.
Soulless, yeah. So the Ike, he has a new release for Soul Build, which is the Soulless build system. Essentially, what it does is it's not unlike Mock from Red Hat. If you've ever worked with that,
yes,
it will build your package in a CH root. It will create a CH root with the minimal install footprint, pull in whatever dependencies are located in your build file, whatever it is for Soulless. I'm not sure. I'm going to call it a spec file because that's what I'm used to calling them. Pull in all the build dependencies, compile it, try to install the the end resulting package and then give you feedback. So if something fails to compile or if you have leftover files that the install produced that you're not tracking, it will let you know. So that's all well and good. They're getting rid of their old build system, Evo build. So that is definitely good. It's a very good tool if you're going to maintain an operating system. I've used it extensively. We used it a lot at Fedora because we had to bootstrap architectures. So it's good to see that a small project like Soulless is taking this step to, better be able to support the OS ecosystem they're trying to build.
Yeah, and it's Soulless basically doing what they've been doing the whole time. And we had Ike on a couple of weeks back. You should totally watch.
We had Ike and his punching bag on.
Yes, and his punching bag, it was there. They didn't say much, but it was there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, it was a real star of the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, and one thing they're trying to do is they're doing the insane stuff. They're re-implementing everything. Like they didn't start with a Debian base or Ubuntu base or Fedora base or anything. They're building from the ground up, and they're currently using some tools from other distros and building some of their own, but they are also improving on the tools that they build, and besides Soulbuild, they're actually looking to replace EOPKG, their package manager. So good on them, and I actually use Soulless on my cheapo laptop, so good on you, Ike.
Yeah, and Ike is becoming a big fan of Go, so this is written on Go as well. And I was reading one of his posts on Google Plus where he was wanting to get rid of pip. Yeah. And now I understand why he wanted to do that. In this software, he wants to avoid projects when they are building to pull extra dependencies when they are building. So it's not something against pip, which is cool and all, but it's something against when you compile something and they grab extra stuff while it's compiling. That's what the tool is trying to avoid.
Yeah. So the Node.js issue where if you try to build anything with npm, it'll try to install literally everything in the npm repo, and
it just curbs it right then and there and doesn't let it pull it down.
Very good. Network.
Well, gentlemen, how about we cook with some evil gas? Gnomes love to cook, and I misread that the first. It was like, gnomes, that sounds delicious. Oh, it's an app. Darn. Gnome needs a recipe app, said no one. Since we all love to cook, I do love to cook, and, well,
Jesse, we gotta cook.
Pretty much. Does what it says on the tin. I mean, this is a fun little project I was looking at, and it's a flat pack, so I was terribly angered and confused because Ubuntu told me that Snap was the future, clearly. But
everyone's on board with it.
It's kind of interesting. Jordan brought up in the notes. He's like, I know you like cooking and all that bullshit. Oh, almost dropped a BS. Aha. Caught myself.
It wasn't me this time.
I didn't do it. I almost did it, man. But I don't really go by any recipes. I might spitball, get a general idea, then go off and do whatever I did. But you can submit your recipes. I've, submitted all my hot sauce sandwiches. Which is just bread and hot sauce. It's a delicious meal. Strider, you know nothing about this topic, but I'm going to bring you in anyway because I think you might be able to add something to the conversation.
So no, disclaimer, I'm working on a cooking app myself. Outside of building an app for gaming, I'm also doing an app for cooking. So I know a little about this. So I had a look at this, and the UI was kind of primitive.
Fugly.
But yeah, it's the first version.
And that's brutal. So, that's coming from the guy who designed the Lutris interface.
But okay, it's the first version. It's okay. But the thing that bugged me really, it's if you want to share recipes, you have to submit an issue and upload a TarGZ onto the GNOME's Bugzilla. Mm-hmm. What kind of idea is that? It's are they from the 90s? I haven't heard of web services, web APIs. But I like the idea because I'm obviously I like it because I'm building one. But
so I got a question though. if you get food poisoning from one of the recipes, do you have to open up another bug, or do you just go into the same thread that they submitted the recipe in and say, hey, I started vomiting profusely after putting this in my body?
Yeah, I have no idea.
reports.
I mean, this seems pretty crazy enough. I mean, this doesn't quite fit into a desktop app, I guess. It would be, I think it's better as a web app.
I think it's better as just
And I mean,
Google
everything
search.
has to compete these days with, okay, Google, how do I cook?
Yeah.
Blank.
Exactly, that's my point. Like, anytime I need to figure out how to cook something, I have the general idea. Like, I need to cook it at this temperature, in this sort of pan or this sort of pot, and this sort of contraption. Sometimes I need to know what kind of measurements for spices or whatnot, so I don't end up overpowering something with like 90 teaspoons of powdered garlic.
This is something I don't do, and it drives people crazy. I don't measure. I eyeball everything.
Yeah.
The first time around, I'll measure it, and then I'll get a sense of what I need to put in, and then I'll usually eyeball it later on for subsequent cookings. But yeah, like, how do you compete with Google? Tell me how to cook this.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
Google
no,
now
you
will get to the
can't.
point where
You
it'll
really
read it out
can't.
for you.
And I don't, for as much as the GNOME 3 desktop environment was clearly made for tablets and touchscreens from all the slidey and all of the other gestures that you can do, I don't really see, especially like Strider mentioned, you have to submit a bug report to add a new recipe.
Listen, it's still neat, and just the fact that I have to do that means that this gentleman is getting at least one legit recipe from me. Because that's just too gosh darn neat.
I mean, can you file a bug report for fried crickets? That's what I want to know.
Let's find out. But hey, somebody's getting
Before
sued.
we get to that, yeah. Canonical gonna sue somebody. So Mark Shuttleworth made a little post on the Insights blog on Ubuntu.com, and he was saying that, well, he was basically hyping up Ubuntu because it's the most used operating system in the cloud. It's just other people's computers, Mark. And a lot of people are using it, and there's a certain specific company which he doesn't name, but he says that they have been providing an image with Ubuntu for the cloud, which is completely unsupportable, and it modifies the system in ways which make it less secure, and, you know, the usual proprietary BS, as it were. And he goes on and on about it, and he's trying to justify as best he can as to why they, Canonical, are taking legal action against that company. And as a company attempting to play ball with the big boys, and I guess Marky Mark does realize this in a way, because he ends up saying that I doubt this company, that company, which is unnamed, would have done what they did with RHEL or Windows, and the Ubuntu community deserves just as much respect for its product, rights, and reputation. And
I'm sorry, continue.
Look, I guess it kind of fits, that statement kind of fits the whole underdog comment that he made earlier. He's trying to be shrewd, that it's kind of, but, you know, as long as Canonical keeps a pretense of being open and makes its decisions public before taking action, one way or another, I'll take them over Microsoft or Apple any other week.
Mm-hmm. So they didn't name the company, but I've had to deal with some hosting service. And I'll name them. It's OVH. It's the biggest one in France. And it really matches the descriptions Mark gives quite well. So I'm not saying that they are the one being sued. And
So you're not saying, but you're saying.
But no, I'm just an example of a company that does that.
People talk about it.
Strider, the word you're looking for is allegedly.
Allegedly. Yes.
Yeah.
You live in the US now. You got to learn that word.
You want to get sued?
So when I got the servers, the kernel was patched, and it was like they made some modifications, and C groups was removed. And if you don't have C groups, you can't run LXC and all these containers technology. So until you revert to the stock version. Also, they had some sketchy files and some strange directories in the root directory directly related to OVH and logging special users. So I removed that as well. No, it's has to do with support and I don't know. I just removed that. So I'm not sure if Mark is referring to them, but if they haven't changed, maybe they should get sued as well.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of vendor customization thing is problematic, and it's been a thing I've been against forever, because even at the basic minimal desktop level, one of the strong points about Linux is I can throw it on a box, whether it be a container, a virtual machine, a physical device, and for the most part, you get an out-of-the-box experience. And I think that's one of Linux's strongest suits. And when you start making changes and you start removing interoperability and compatibility within the same operating system sphere, you get all sorts of problems, especially when you don't upstream things canonical. But I mean, like I said, it is a problem. Canonical is taking one route about it, but it sort of speaks to their general sense of propriety towards the Ubuntu name and things associated with it, even going so far as you can't redistribute Ubuntu packages without express permissions from Canonical, despite the fact that it's all open source and you can literally just compile
it's using their
identical binary
their
package.
Servers. That's most of the problem. It's you can't just take advantage of their servers and mirrors and everything without permission. That's the problem.
And it's funny too that you brought up RHEL as one of the things where people wouldn't do that with RHEL. Yeah, they do. They just take CentOS and do it, and you get the exact.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. I mean, we can all basically be fortunate that most of the stuff that comes out of Canonical, no one really wants to use anyway. So, coming up next, hey, what's this?
We need money.
Yeah, basically.
We do want to thank our beautiful Patreons for helping make this show. You can check this business out, patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. Become one of us. We do have some rewards. Maybe you'll like that. And we're really looking for that 175 so we can start prototyping just crazy stuff, call-in shows, and, two streams, basically.
You get those a week. You might get more, but those two are guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. You got anything, Jordan, you wanted to answer?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, we literally could not do this without you guys. We love the support that we get, and even if you can't donate on Patreon, if you maybe are an avid Amazon shopper because you are a recluse and can't leave your home because of the scary cancer death orb in the sky, you can head on over to linuxgamecast.com. We got a support the shows and link. You can click on some Amazon affiliate links. We got one for the EU. Actually, it's the UK now, so it's probably not going to apply to the EU.
Yeah, no,
for too long. We got the US one as well. It doesn't cost you a penny. You get your regular purchase, and we get a little cut. It's super helpful. And yeah, we're hoping for that 175 because we have ideas and horrible things we'd like to share with you. Horrible, terrifying
Trust
things.
me, I mean, just in the pre-show, we were just spitballing, and I was like, hey, it's probably a good thing we don't have a budget to get together and shoot stuff. Because some horrifying things might come out of that. All right, that's enough shilling.
Shoot stuff in both senses of the word, like with guns and with cameras. But anyways.
Arcade? What?
Yeah,
Yes.
So you might remember, it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, we mentioned that Mir had this kiosk mode where you can launch, make basic interfaces. So this is an interesting project called Mircade. Which also allows you to launch games on top of Mir. So the launcher itself is not very interesting. I mean, you can go through the source code for the whole thing in a matter of minutes. But what's interesting really is that it's beginning to be possible to run some games and with some mixed level of success. But basically, if it uses SDL2 or Qt5, it will run with Mir natively, and if not, it will run with Xmir. And you might have some stuff like segmentation faults and funny stuff like that. So I don't have the setup to be able to test this, but if anyone can, then I would very much like to have some feedback on this. I don't know how it performs or anything, but yeah.
I mean, you do have the downside of anyone testing this will have to run Mirror, which is punishment in itself. But I mean, it's an interesting project. I love watching all this effort being put forward for what is essentially something that will evaporate.
No, I mean, it's something like that. The only reason you'd be running Mirror is because you couldn't get Wayland to work. I mean, it's just face facts and say what it is.
Or you're stuck on Ubuntu because you're a Canonical employee.
Well, no, that's true. I guess they do like look over your shoulder. Who knows? We're just making stuff up. But yeah, it's like, ooh, backing the wrong horse there. What's it like working on a project you know's never really going to do anything, man? It's just poof, gone.
Look, it died. It's gone. I've made my peace with it. Now, going back to the little post here, they say X11 based games using Xmirror may or may not work. That's not very reassuring.
Well, Fedora gave a similar caveat for their Wayland implementation. If you're using NVIDIA proprietary graphics, X Wayland will not work because we just don't have that working yet. And that's a fair thing to say in your software project. We don't have it working yet.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, maybe you're like me and you deal with a cavalcade of network issues ad nauseum that causes you to restart Skype calls in the middle of podcasts. Who knows? Maybe you want some sort of user space application to manage it. Well, you can check this out. This is a GitHub page for Lynette Lim, which is really hard to say. I'm not going to try it. Spewing that out again. Essentially what it is a little graphical Python wrapper for setting up some basic Mangle rules for rate limiting in your IP tables, your net filter chains. And I mean, from the network engineer in me is like, no, you want this at the gateway so you can manage it for the entire freaking site, so that you have finer grained control, and you can do that from the gateway. But if you need something quick, this works. But if you have any custom IP table setup, maybe because you're running some whacked out virtualization setup using QEMU and libvirt, you maybe don't want to do this because this will clear out all your IP tables rules and replace it with theirs. And that instantly nicks this for me. It's like, yeah, no, let's not. I like my IP tables rules. I spent time considering and writing them, and I don't want that effort to be flushed down the toilet.
Well, Strider, considering this thing is written in Python, which is the wrong language, you found another use for it.
Yeah, but it's really strange because it's written in Python, but it's using Kiwi and Pygame, and I didn't manage to run it at all. I mean, it's the dependencies are wrong. They are like, no. I mean, there was a site on that was missing. First thing, the Kiwi dependency number was outdated, or maybe the Pygame one, and it just seems weird. But yeah, I mean, the project is really interesting. I would like to have a tool like this because it allows you to see how much traffic do you get on each TCP port or UDP port, and that's something that's quite handy to have this visually. But here, I mean, maybe it would be better to have a web UI for this.
And you have it running on, say, a router.
Yeah.
Or you just install NetHog. I mean, what?
I mean, most routers do have QoS settings that you can tweak to get essentially the same thing, but again, at the gateway level, so it applies to the entire network as opposed to your
precisely.
The joys of being a system administrator, the burden of knowledge. Speaking of burdens.
So to wrap up the news before we get onto this week's Slice of Pie, some slides from AMD's upcoming presentation, which is supposed to go live at some point on the 13th of this month. Someone leaked the PDF, and someone on Linux_Gaming uploaded it to their Google Drive. So if you want to back it up, there's a link. You know what to do. But yeah, if you go through it, they do mention Linux several times over. One of them is the Crimson Relive Edition. That's their new driver suite, or at least it was the new driver suite.
It's just a missed opportunity, Pedro. When you said Crimson, you know what I thought for the second part of that. Hashtag
yes.
That's what is what it should have been called.
Yeah, it totally is, but they didn't. Now, my biggest thing was, is this going to be another lie? Because AMD literally flat out lied to everyone on Linux when they said, oh, the Crimson drivers are coming to Linux. And when you installed them, boom, FGLRX. Even the kernel module was called FGLRX. Real smart there, AMD. Real smart.
They had like their brand new Qt GUI as well that they never brought over.
No, they didn't.
The same old... Oh man, that was rough. I mean, I actually took some time to read through this slide deck. It's about 80 slides long, full of a lot of nothing. There are a lot of graphs that are just sort of ambiguous X and Y axes that say, oh yeah, there's an improvement as compared to what metric?
Mm-hmm. And the other big thing for Linux is also that they are about a year and a half later, they're finally introducing FreeSync support. Finally. Thank you, AMD. Thank you. Took you long enough.
Yeah. Eventually. I do. One thing that does stand out, though, is I do love on slide 53. Apparently, they have dumped a pile of cocaine or crystal meth or some sort of powdered drug substance on like the actual die itself. This is what increases performance.
I don't know. I mean, I guess the FreeSync is the big takeaway from this, and you most certainly need something like FreeSync if you're using AMD for gaming under Linux, because they haven't figured out how to open GL, bro. Strider, do you have any thoughts?
It's AMD, so I don't care.
Okay.
Fair enough. Let's get into our slice of pie. Jordan, what do we got this week?
Yeah. So this is one I've had a little bit of experience with. I've actually talked about it on this podcast and maybe a bit on the other one. Once upon a time, I've gone through a number of CPU heat sinks on my TV box. And when that happens, and I'm waiting for Amazon to ship me my little cooler all the way up into Canada, I mean, the delivery guy has to dive through polar bears and rabid beavers. It's nasty, so it can take a while. So sometimes, you want to watch your South Park on the big TV. Because you have the South Park channel set up in Plex, and so if you have a Raspberry Pi lying around, I moved it on that shelf, so I don't know where it is anymore. But you can download Rasplex, hook it up, and you have a Plex player. If you don't feel like paying for a smart TV and having Samsung have a bunch of usage information and then brick your TV due to software updates, because I don't know, but. It's definitely a thing. I've used it. Don't hit the / button, though, while you're using Rasplex, though, because it changes the resolution, and you'll go, what the hell just happened? And you're going to go through the process of hitting all the keys on the keyboard to try and reproduce what you just did. I'll do you a favor. It's /
I think this is a fantastic, neat little project, and it does speak a lot to you, like, oh, Raspberry Pi, hang on. You do look around to find one of the 5 or 6 that might be populating your house at any time.
Oh,
neat. I put together something quite similar to this, but I did not outline the instructions on how to do it, and I also taped it to the back of a monitor. So,
that's where they live.
These instructions also recommend you use Wi-Fi. Use a wired connection.
Right.
Save yourself a headache.
Yeah, that's always better. But yeah, I'd like to try it out, although I prefer Cody. But I wonder if it's possible to multi-boot this in Noobs.
Probably. It's based on OpenELEC, so as long as you can dual boot OpenELEC on that, you can do this. Yeah.
No, so that would be cool. I mean, I would have had this in my SD card with the Raspbian Laka and LibreELEC. Just hope that it's better than the web player for Plex, because the web player is...
Oh, the web player for Plex is just nightmare fuel, but I mean, Plex has an app for your toaster, man, so...
Yeah. Just use the app. Save yourself the headache. Use the app.
Yeah, but
the player is marginally better. One thing though is like it treats your keyboard like a remote control, so sometimes it will map things to weird keys that you wouldn't necessarily expect, like / where it automatically shifts your 1080p window into a little 720p window.
Cody does that too. I remember sometimes hitting NRM and it would change like the contrast. I think it was. It's like, why?
What did I do? What did you do?
I'm going to tell you what we are going to do is tell people how they can get in contact with us.
Indeed. You can go to linuxgamecast.com. You hit the contact button on the nav bar, you fill out the form, it's pretty easy. Make sure you pick LWDW if you want to send some feedback this way, or you pick LGCW if you want to send some hate mail over to that foul-mouthed Saturday show, What We Do. Indeed. And you can also leave us a comment on the social medias or on Patreon or even on YouTube. If we see it and it's relevant, we will feature it right here. Now, this week, we have someone longing for the good old days, Vin.
Hey, man, that's what I was talking about. Some white guy named Joe. Okay, that's it.
We're gonna leave that one alone.
Old man Vin. I'm with Vin. We need AMD to smack Intel around a bit for old time's sake. We need them to smack them around so we get the competition and we don't end up with these $2,000 CPUs coming out of Intel, because Intel's like, hey, buddy, I'm the power company now. Where are you going to go? So that's what we need to get those prices down, because I remember when Intel was the 9,000-pound gorilla sitting around. And I think it was when, the Slot A architecture came out that just completely caught Intel off guard. They were like, what? And I mean, because you remember the XP rating system? Because the AMD chips were doing more work per cycle than the Intel chips. That's why they was like, even though it's a lower clock speed, it was still, spanking the Intels. We need those days back, and I hope they're coming. Pedro?
Yeah.
Yeah, as someone who spent €200 on an AMD FX 8370E and €70 on an AMD Athlon X for 860K, I know exactly what an AMD bottleneck looks like.
Hey, how are things going up there in Tradersville?
As someone who paid $800 for Skylake MOBO and CPU combo, I for one hope that Zen performs like garbage so that I feel justified in my purchase.
No, I mean, I'm on Intel as well, and it's not that I wouldn't like AMD CPUs to get better like they were like in the Athlon XP days, but I'm not just. I don't think it will happen. That's. I mean,
AMD is notorious for talking a lot of good stuff and then sort of failing to deliver upon actual release.
I will give you about a 60% on that. What's really wrong with a lot of AMD is like our AMD, and they even like circle jerk themselves now. Like with their hype train, the fanboys are like, "Oh, the 480 is going to destroy the Titan X." Like, no, it's not.
I got burned with Bulldozer, so yeah. I bought into it. Not anymore. Show me the actual like in the wild benchmarks, and then we'll just start talking.
That's what we're waiting on. So coming up next, Brendan.
Rob says print magazines are still a thing over here in the UK, at least for a while yet to come. See Retro Gamer, Linux User, Linux Gamer, Linux Pro, PC Pro, etc. This comes in reply because last week we mentioned the Raspberry Pi magazine that they were releasing, and we were saying, please don't let it be a print magazine. That's just going to be money down the drain. But apparently, and since the Raspberry Pi pretty much comes from the UK, I guess it could be.
Well, and there's also print magazines serve the one purpose of, if you're going to be including a Pi Zero with every issue, it's kind of hard to email someone a computer. You wouldn't download a car, would you?
Like somebody's like, you wouldn't download a hamburger. And I was like, where's the beef? No, I mean, that's definitely a thing. Magazines are still used. I don't know, for stuff, and people hate trees.
Kindling.
Yeah.
Kindling.
But hey, that's cool. It's just not me. I'm in awe of anyone starting a magazine in 2016. Let me put it like that. That's the right way to frame it. I'm impressed. I'm not talking bad about them at all.
You got the cojones.
Thanks for that note. And Joel comes in. He's like, hey, man, because we were talking about, Linux needing a GUI for that firewall.
Yes.
Yeah, no, he's like, WRT, the lack of firewall GUIs is BS. Firewall D is Fedora, Oracle, RHEL, and available for Ubuntu if you make it, and provides a user space firewall with in-memory Rule sets I can't read. I'm not Englishing very well this day. With a GUI in high-level language.
You tried, man.
I get it. He's like, he basically is like, yeah, there's a pretty good GUI, right?
Yeah, no,
I don't know. I don't use the Firewall GUI. I've learned the command line, and I know how to write it.
You're just privileged.
Yes.
You're entitled, man. That's...
But it's not
I'm brain damaged.
application firewall GUI. So this
You
was
can
what
set per application rules.
Oh, where's you got now?
Okay,
Not-
so
I- not
mentioned
quite.
the other, like last week or the week before, the Do One app, which looks really nice, and I still want to give it a try. I don't really need a firewall, so I'm not such in a hurry to do it.
If
But
you're running app armor
By the way,
or SE
Strider's IP
Linux,
address is.
if you're running app armor or SE Linux, you already have a built-in per application security prevention type of thing. Data execution
That was
prevention.
actually an interview question. That was actually an interview question I got the other day. Was what's the difference between IP tables and SE Linux?
Yeah, and even Firewall D, you can set per application rules from the GUI. You can do it, but by default, if you just
not
look,
quite.
Hmm?
Not
yeah,
quite.
you have to really get
Define
into
XML
it. But
files with the actual
Yeah.
list of ports, and then you can say, allow this application. Okay, I'm going to do an XML lookup. Blah blah blah. It's
Yep.
not like Windows actually has a really nice feature where you can do per process based firewall, but they don't have that quite.
burn them at the stake.
No, man, I was trying to tell everyone, just to make sure you have Zone and Alarm installed through Wine, and I mean, you were locked down. But, you know, I really think we're framing different things today. What Matt was trying to get across was there are no firewalls, GUI firewall, you know, just for your standard desktop systems that have the interface from
Oh yeah, no.
well, what's the movie? Mike, I can't remember the name. Where all the people
Magic Mike?
No, the world of people get stupid and
Oh, Idiocracy.
Idiocracy. The menu they had in the hospital.
Yeah, like
Right.
yeah, just the various pictograms of the various injuries you might have.
I think that's more what you know, user friendly type stuff is like firewall on, firewall off. Unless it's like Windows Firewall, which is probably just like, come on guys, come on through, and all that fun stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I think that's going to do it for this Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays. We do want to thank Master Sveng for showing up. He wanted to pop, well, actually, I wanted him to pop on because he has returned to the world of the gainfully employed, and it might be a long, long time before you see the, well, all right, anyway, it's going to be a while before he's going to come back. If you ever want to get in touch with me, I'm at Vinstone on the Twitter nets, plus Vinstone on the G pluses.
I am Pedro Mateos. You can find me not almost letting a very no, let's not even go there. You can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter or plus Pedro Mateos on Google Plus.
And you can find me at Striker on Twitter or plus Mathieu Commando on Google Plus. And also on Lutrus.net.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the last you're going to be seeing me on here for a while. But I'm on that other show, and if you need to get at me at other points in the week, you can find me at The Burning Fool on Twitter, plus Jordan Spung on Google Plus, because I am Jordan Spung Mateus Stone Commandant.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.